Got a hybrid turbo on it. It's got an inlet, intake, downpipe, full exhaust, injectors, fuel pump, intercooler, drag radials, lowering springs.
Other than that, the car has our software for the gearbox and the engine software, and everything else inside the engine is all completely factory. The transmission's all completely factory. You know, like differentials and all that, those are completely factory and stock. I mean, it's basically a showroom floor RS3 that we've modified with, I guess you could say, pretty standard bolt-ons that you know most people could do.
So should we talk about what the owner wanted when he approached you and how you kind of
We did a RS7 for him previously that we worked together on, and when the RS3 was coming out, he kept texting me like, hey, what do you think about this car? Should I get a RS4 or RS5 or RS3? Like, what should I get? And I was like, I think the RS3 is going to be the hot ticket. We can flash it. The thing is going to have a lot of potential. So he's like, okay, if I buy one, can I send it to you? And then can you get my car in there? And I was like, oh, I can't make any promises, but we'll see what we can do. We'll take care of you. So then he, got a hold of our dealer that we work with and bought the car through our local dealer. Had the dealer come deliver it to us, and then dropped it off and just sat the car here. And I was like, well, I got other projects I'm working on right now. I can't get to it, but I'll do it. And he's just like, hey, just whatever you think, whatever you want to do. So Keith's been really easy to work with. I call him like my best customer because he's just like, whatever you need to make my car fast, like whatever you think. And then he'll text me like pictures like, hey, did you see this? Or what about this part? Can I put this on here? Do we need this? Maybe we should do that. And I'm like, that's kind of like pump the brakes on every once in a while, but like, it's okay. We don't have to spend all of your money. Like, let's try to be effective, not try to go too bleeding edge. So in that sense, it was great, really easy to work with him. But of course, the goal was to try to run a 9, but I wasn't sure that we'd be capable of doing it. So, everybody asked like, is he going to run a 9 today? Is he running a 9 today? I was just like, I don't really want to say anything. Don't really want to jinx it.
So obviously a lot of the cars aren't drag cars, so when he came to you with the goal of going 9 seconds, did you have to do anything differently than you would have done with like your other sort of traditional builds?
I've been drag racing since I was like 16 years old. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you'll make a lot of power on the dyno, but it doesn't necessarily translate to the street, and that's because maybe when you shift gears, there's some sort of issue where the ECU is pulling out a bunch of timing, or the gearbox is slipping. There's all these different things that come into play. So that's why we love going to the drag strip. It just gives us an opportunity in like the most ideal conditions to see like, is this car truly fast?
Yeah, because you deal with, like he's saying, you deal with power management in first gear. Sometimes to make a lot of power, second and third gear, and then how you're going to be able to control that. And then getting all the systems to work together and play nice is somewhat difficult. And if it does well on the street, it might not also do well on the track, right? Because you get different grip levels on the street versus track. So there's something else you have to think about for your customers when they're trying to go out there with like the RS7 guys trying to run, 10.2s, 10.3s on street tires on race gas, and they go to the drag strips. Like it also has to work at the street and then at the track. So you kind of have to blend in between what that is. So you optimize for the street, optimize for the track, and then pick a compromise in the middle, where you won't necessarily 60 foot as best as you possibly could at the track, but you're also not going to blow the tires off on the street. So it's just a lot of struggle, to be honest.
With that in mind, what was the development process like for that car? Was it quite extensive, or was it?
I had a pretty good plan going forward because it was port and DI. That was the key thing. So we knew we were going to have enough fuel to do it, and there's enough low pressure pump solutions out there. But luckily, we have a good contact that we were able to reach out to and get a badass low pressure pump that supplied more than enough fuel for it. And then we were able to use our injector kit from our MQB system. And so once we had fuel sorted, it's basically, okay, well, how much torque will the engine and gearbox take, and then how much power can the turbo support? And we didn't know how much power the turbo would support. I mean, of course, they give you the figures on, it's going to make 625, but until you put on the dyno and actually dyno it, you don't truly know what it's going to make. But we had enough fuel for it. We put on alcohol, which I call Jesus juice. So. Do that. It makes all kinds of jam. We typically see, for you guys, it would be like a 109 RON. It's like 104 R plus M divided by 2. United States. We typically see like a 4% pickup in power, switching to E85 over that. And we even use just the pump fuel. We're not even using like C85 from VP or E98 straight mix.
So we went down to the gas station that's local here and just plugged in and pumped away. We didn't get a big barrel or anything like that.
Yeah, so use the MAPCO and set it up. MAPCO is a fuel station. There's the brand. It's just a generic one. So we just went down there, got some 85, and did her up. So we took the car, started out, installed the turbo, intake system that we'd bought for the car, downpipe exhaust, and then dynoed the car with turbo, got kind of the base calibration done, and then after doing that, I kind of assessed different issues I was seeing from the data logs. One was that we knew the intake was a restriction. We can put like velocity stacks, which is basically an ideal entrance on the intake pipe. So remove like the air box, the whole entire thing, and put a stack on it. So if we pick up like 40 horsepower, put a stack on it, we know that there's going to be a pressure drop all across the intake. So we need to improve the intake system. We can check the thermocouples, pre and post intercooler, pressure drop across the core, which we've checked before with, we've got a C125 Motec dash that we used for our development of the Stage 1 tune. So we have a lot of this information about the different parts, especially with the stock turbo, where the restrictions are, where we need to pay focus to, and then just work on those things. Then as we go, like, hey, we need to tweak this, we need to modify that. This part's not working. We've got a flow bench too, so we flow bench a lot of parts to see what air filters actually flow more, which, if we put this bend radius in here, this is what's going to do. So, just sit there and fumble through it until you get the combination of parts that you think is going to work pretty well. On the dyno, I think it made 610 wheel horsepower with an ideal entrance, and it was like
625, I believe.
Hold on. It made 610 on our dyno before we went to the track, and we put the air box back on. It made like 580 or 590, and I was like, oh man, we're losing like 30 horsepower with this air box or whatever, and put that on it, and didn't read dyno it, just knew that that's what needed to happen. Right, we got to the track. We ran the car with the full exhaust system on it, and then we finally got down to doing the weight reduction and the slicks. We dropped the exhaust and just put a screamer pipe on it. And then after we got done doing all the racing, we brought the car back and it ended up making 630 wheel horsepower dyno. So to run that kind of a time, only making 630 wheel, it was like 625, 630. It's like to run that kind of time with that little power is just a testament to the weight and also the gearbox. And the gearbox actually just worked flawlessly. We ran excellent times with the stock transmission calibration. The big thing was just changing the shift points, so we were able to run the thing pretty high.
That's quite an interesting point on the video where it's talking about, is it still a stock S-tronic box?
Yeah.
So what is it?
Yeah, stock clutches, stock, even the stock oil.
Input shaft, the axles, it's all stock, all covered oil pans.
Calibration though, what's that like? Because is that something you've done before? Or?
To be honest, I haven't done a lot of the transmission calibration stuff here. We have a couple guys that spend a lot of time in it. I just kind of grabbed my hands on it and said, I need this to work for this car. And of course they were busy with their own projects, so I worked with some friends on that one and got to work a lot better.
Is it difficult to do that sort of stuff with the gearbox then?
It's a new strategy. Like, I don't have a lot of experience in the gearbox stuff, so yeah, it's difficult. I think once you spend more time with it would probably be easier. But I mean, to find shift points and change shift points, that's not terribly difficult, I guess.
No, I'd say it took you a couple days, and
Yeah,
you kind of figured everything out. You
Yeah.
worked with one of the other engineers down there to
Yeah.
find all the maps, and
Yeah,
you
Chad.
just started going to town and going out front here with a little, kind of like a P box called a draggy, and we just saw the times, increasing or actually decreasing,
Yeah,
getting better and better and better.
Data log the engine speed, and then we basically just sit there and try to figure out is this map the shift maps, right? Am I getting the shift maps properly? And I remember sitting there, and we found all the shift maps, we identified all the shift maps, and we're like, okay, we needed to shift this RPM. And I was like, okay, well, we're not sure if this is an engine speed shift point, or if this is output shaft speed, if it's vehicle speed based, we're not sure what this is, what this map, how it's identified basically. So we changed it 10%, and I was like, oh, it didn't work. Oh, we must be missing something. This is so terrible. And I came back the next day, and I was looking at it, and I was like, it's just a little bit higher. But it's not in stock. It's just a little bit higher. It wasn't where I thought it should be. And I was like, I think it changed. So we just changed it again by another 10%. Boom, sure enough, it was changing. So just had to pay attention, I guess, a little bit better. And then the majority of the track time that we spent, probably the first half of the day till about 2 o'clock, was just trying to get the transmission to shift exactly where we wanted it. And then torque management in first gear. How hard do we launch? How hard do we leave the line? How do we ramp the torque in? And then how do we make that transition to the 1-2 shift? And then making the transmission not intervene as violently. Sometimes it really doesn't let down between first and second. And the short times between first, second, and third gear are very, very important, that you get just a perfect transition between gear to gear to gear. And then that translates to time at the top end. Like we say, if you can shave a tenth off your 60 foot, it's 2/10 on the ET. So focus a lot on the short time, and then it'll help our top end. Of course, we had a lot of mile an hour too, so it was 144, so I was terrible pain. We did that.
Yeah, that's quick.
I don't want to keep you too long. Should we just talk about your thoughts on how you think the performance of that car relates to like the Audis you can buy now, and if there's more to come from like the stock engines and stuff, and what APR is doing? And
I think you have to tether it somewhat to the trend of what cars do in life, right? So like everything's just getting faster and faster. The transmissions and the new generation Audis, I think, are leaps forward. Like if you drive an R8 Plus and a TTRS and an RS3, S-Tronic gives me goosebumps, and I just like, this is the transmission makes the whole car, right? The R8's a beautiful car, and it's very expensive, and it's got a V10. A lot of things would make a lot of people happy, right? It's all-wheel drive, but the freaking gearbox is better than everything else in the world, and it's just like it takes that car and puts it on a whole other level. Yeah, and the RS3 is just like a baby Lamborghini, so it's just half as much displacement, so well, a little lower than half, but yeah, as far as the RS3 goes, like bang for the buck. Unless you're going to do a twin turbo Lamborghini, like this is your car. So unless you've got $250,000 to spend on a Lamborghini, which I don't know a lot of people that do, so RS3 will work just fine. I mean, it's fast. I mean, it's a fast car. And even if you talk about like what it does stage one, like we're at 10.5, we've had some beta customers like full strap, full weight, running in the 10s consistently, no problem. And it's just like, this is great. This is easy. You think about what it was back in the day with just a flash to run 10s. Like we have to really struggle to run 10s and a lot of stuff. And this car is just so effortless. And the gear, and you watch the video of the car making the shifts. I thought we were going to struggle and have transmission, slip clutch issues or something like that, and that we were going to just be fighting it, and everybody's going to look at me like, how are we going to sort this out? And it was just like, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, I don't know, it just works. It just works, just runs 9s over and over and over and over on slugs.
Yeah, we ran 8 9s in a row.
Transmission never, we did some squirrely burnouts where we let it shift into second gear, and it gave a transmission overheat warning, but it's like, that was, I would call a bit of neglect, so... I don't know. I'm impressed.
awesome. That's quality stuff.
Why don't you answer that question too? What do you think? Like the level of performance of cars?
Yeah, do you want me to ask you the same thing?
Sure. I mean, the level of performance just seems, like Eric was saying, it just keeps going up and up and up. Unfortunately, it seems that the weight is also going up on a lot of these cars, so maybe that's going to be a hindering point. But the RS3 is fairly lightweight. I mean, you look at the TTRS, and that's extremely light too. So it's just kind of like the perfect balance for everything that makes a car fast. I think that one of the new interesting cars will be the new RS7 when that comes out. Obviously, it won't be as great around the track as something like an RS3, but just straight down the road, I think it's going to have the power. It's going to be a new V8 twin turbo. They're already pretty stout right now. On the current platform, we're doing, we have customers that are doing 10.2 in the quarter mile with basically an intake, a downpipe, our software on the engine, and that's it, and race fuel. But yeah, they move.
Yeah, something else I was thinking about too, because the transition from Audi and Volkswagen to like all automatic, all DSG vehicles, the transmission does a really good job, especially now with the new DSG stuff, does a really good job of keeping you in the sweet spot. So, or the times where they had the manual transmission, Volkswagens with the DI, it was a very struggle to keep a nice, responsive, small turbo that, that still made some power, but, still could do that. And now we can truly, plus one size the turbochargers to have a, better exhaust to intake manifold pressure ratios. Basically, technical jargon, it's a lot better operating point on the compressor map and the turbine flow to run a much bigger turbocharger in the car. The downside, obviously, is that it takes longer to spool up. But if the transmissions keep it at the sweet spot and it's already prepped and primed, it makes things a lot better. And with the advent of the electric superchargers that are coming on the cars and the 48-volt systems, I think you'll see a good hybrid technology combination where you have an electric supercharger, kind of like the twin charger, 1.4 liter spools turbo like a 2.8 liter. Turbo's alive, and the supercharger comes offline, and then you're off the turbocharger. It's the most amazing thing ever. So the next best thing, I guess, is just like electrifying that system. Instead of doing like a clutch blower, you can do the electrical supercharger and then pick up on a bigger turbo. And then with the DSG and the automatic transmission, you're not skipping a beat there. So now all of a sudden where you might have only gotten away with like a Garrett 30R, now I can do a 35R. Well, now we can go put a 42 on it. And it's really the customer is not going to perceive as what we would say back in the day is like, that's, drag race only, it's blah, blah, blah. Now you got 2.5 liters pulling a 42R with electric supercharger and a DSG gearbox. Thing picks up, takes off, and you're none the wiser. And the guys of old, if you'd told me that 10 years ago, I'd have been like, you're insane, man, get out of here. So.